we live? I think we are live. I think we are. It looks like we are. Yeah, there we go. Looks like we are live. Turn on silent. So, oh, hello. There we go. We see people coming in. Hello, KJL. And mind your own business. Hello as well to you. We know to mind our business. I hope you're all well. Just give me a second whilst I set things up. Let me know what you thought of the live event, and then we'll kick things into high gear and have a chat about it. Adam will not be here for this one with us, unfortunately. He is in a very weird time zone as it is, and he is at work, so he will catch up with us on Strangecast, I imagine, if anything. And I will make a video version of this available on the channel on the weekend, like a VOD, so anyone who missed it, they can talk about it there and check it out. So we will get into that. So I think we're all set up here, and hopefully nothing breaks. If anything, let me just quickly pause this upload. It might make my speeding, might make the thingy. By the way, as well, just to let you know as well, the Lost Records Journal is available, just in case anyone has not noticed. And obviously, Strangecast's live stream video is available on the chat, is available on the channel and on RSS feed. So definitely check it out. KJL loved it. Mind your own business. Cool. Yeah, it was an interesting event. It was quite it was definitely dramatized, really quite big as well in that room. I was like, they're splashing the budget here. Square Enix and not holding back on the budget. So let's just quickly grab this. How are you both, by the way, as well, seeing as you're here? Oh, we got another person here. Got Strange Owl. Hey, Yellow Flash. It was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting. Let me know what you thought about what, if there was anything good or bad. I had a lot to think about it, if anything. Obviously, we kind of calmed down since the big reveal, if anything, and there's quite a lot to talk about with the game as well. Obviously, me and Adam are really keen to kind of like, oh, there's my cat there. Can I see my cat? He's appeared in the feed for a second. Even more excited than before, really, KJL. That's interesting. Yeah, it was an interesting event. So I'll kick things off. So, yeah, I really enjoyed what I saw in parts. Like it was quite interesting to hear what they're saying. So I think like one of the things that I really, at least I'm kind of glad that they're establishing that neither ending is canon. Like it's kind of going to be a bit open ended, so it kind of at least some sort respects what Don't Nod did, but we'll kind of go forward and see where things go from here. Yellow Flash, but I'm curious about the implications with the conversation with Safi regarding game choices. Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting one because it'll be like, I can't actually remember if they said like, if you can bring your save file over and it might affect it. I think they kind of said that if it was a newcomer, you basically have that interaction. I'm not sure if it'll be with people who have save files, so I might need to double check that. But as well, I think like Yellow Flash, I think if you like play games like I've been playing God of War Ragnarok recently, and they have like a massive recap section at the beginning of the game, in like a menu section, I think it's going to be like that, where it's going to be a full, extensive like breakdown of what actually happened in the first game, because it's a bit more kind of like, it's following that game, if anything. I know facts. It was pretty informative in my opinion. Yeah, it was. I think we got more clarity than just the reveal trailer that we saw at the Xbox Game Showcase. Mind your own business. I'm warming to it actually. Yeah, I think like on the surface it looks interesting to see on the surface. If anything, I'm still a little bit on the fence because the expectations are like here, because obviously we have Max back, and it's like it's not necessarily like we're just kind of like going to new characters, new universe, everything else in between it. I'm kind of like really got high expectations for it, and that's where I think like for me, I hope Deck Nine is able to deliver to that. But I think that I'm a little bit on the fence because like I don't know if their storytelling is as strong as Don't Nods, and especially because they're using a Don't Nod original character and leading the game off that. And I've kind of like followed this because of the narrative with Safi, because basically Chloe Price has kind of dominated the entire conversation because it's like they're trying to make Safi and Max work, and I wonder how much people will warm up to that eventually when it gets to the game, because it seems like everyone is adamant on just having Chloe Price there. So again, we'll kind of go into that. So let me just quickly look here. Yellow Flash, Hannah looks very happy, which is very good to see. I'm very happy for Hannah Telle. I can see this being the performance of her life, if anything, and obviously she's doing full performance capture, as we've been told from Deck 9. I have no issues with the performance capture, if anything. Web Picker's Gill seems like he's going to be the performance director on this game. He was outstanding on True Colors, probably the most redeeming factor of that game for me, if anything, like out of anything, like if I wasn't going to criticize anything. And Hannah, obviously, it'll be kind of interesting to see how she adopts Max's mannerisms, because she was talking about that in the actual stream, where Max is different from the Max that we know. And I think that's going to be interesting to see for people, because I don't know if they'll necessarily warm up to her, warm up to the character straight away, if anything, because like it's going to be a darker Max, maybe potentially. So let's have a look here. Mind your own business. I was hoping to get insight on potential love interest for those who didn't sacrifice Arcadia Bay. Yeah, and again, vague, but I imagine we'll kind of like get a blitz of media in the next 4 months. Again, it's only like 4.5 months, isn't it? As Adam said, it's crazy that we got that. Strange Owl, I feel like it's going to be very difficult to justify why she's not with Chloe if the Save Babe ending is taken into consideration. Very good point, that. Because when you've established that, because if they were going to be bold enough and be like, we're just going to regard this ending as anything, because we see it with films all the time and TV shows, whether you like it or not. I've always had this conversation with people: never get married or never get too attached to something. Danielle Vivart said that to me in a Life After Strange episode. She said, never get attached to something, because it means that you're not going to get to keep hold of it forever, and someone might just feel like, they might do something completely different. So with them doing that 2 endings, I kind of agree with you, because like if you basically are like me, which is basically sacrifice the town every single time, I'm kind of sitting here thinking like, well, why is Chloe Price not here, and why is she not my like second in command? It just feels quite a little bit out of place. And I've always said this as well in the initial reaction stream, where I was like, the person who plays Safi, best of luck to you, because you have like the tallest order to kind of compete with and win people over, because everyone's talking about Chloe at the minute. KGL, I love the flashback part. Wait, I love the flashback part. I caused this. I caused all of this. Feels like Chloe is a bigger part than I thought. I imagine that might be the way that they integrate Chloe a bit more into the game, with like lingering flashbacks, dream sequences, all that stuff. Like you can have moments where basically you don't even have to bring the actor in, because it could just be Chloe walking into the distance, Max chasing after her. You get past that, don't you, easily? Yellow Flash, I think we will have Chloe be a text message flashback character. From what I can tell, I didn't even read that comment before I even said what I said, but yes, I completely agree with you. She'll appear in some kind of manifestations, if anything. And I think with the trailer as well, we actually saw that character with the beanie on is not necessarily Rachel Amber, because people have cropped that photo, put it everywhere and said, oh, it's Rachel Amber. And it's like, if you look in the photo in the bottom left corner, she's at the crime scene with like a yellow, as you will. Strange Owl, because if she went through the efforts of saving her, all that feels weird. Not having her around, I don't know. At that point, maybe it would have been better to canonize the ending or follow another timeline. I think they should have done, personally speaking, whether you like it or not. I think they should have just basically said, this is a timeline we're following. Do what the comics did, because obviously Square Enix commissioned that. It's like, we just follow this is one hypothetical situation of a timeline we follow. And it feels like they're really trying to integrate it. My biggest fear, and I do have to wonder if you guys feel the same about this, is that they're going to turn this into a multiverse, like a Disney Marvel multiverse kind of thing. I've played it recently, Final Fantasy VII. I'm really enjoyed that, but I have mixed reservations about it. But I feel like I don't want to see an explosion of timelines. And then, Sean Diaz gets pulled through a portal, and then Deck 9 starts like, moving around. Not Deck 9, so Square Enix starts moving around all these characters, because it's like, they start moving around these characters to try and create this like massive multiverse, like this big cinematic universe, because I think that's 2012 at this point. People are feeling quite stagnated with Disney and Marvel anyway, and I don't think Life is Strange needs that. There are some big questions as well, because like in itself, like True Colors just seems like even more of a precursor to this. Like even I've repeatedly said on the streams where I was like, True Colors felt like Life is Strange 1 imitation, and it was trying to hit those beats, and I feel like that almost feels like a test project for Square Enix, being like, can Deck 9 do a similar game to Don't Nod? And then they finally kind of pulled the trigger here and gone ahead with it. So it is quite interesting. Let's have a quick look in here. What other messages do we have? I'm just quickly pulling these up. Yeah, so mind your business. From what I assume, Chloe might feature in text, photos, mentions, uh, but a physical appearance. Wouldn't surprise me if she does appear physically in some way, shape, or form. I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't take much for Rihanna DeVries to do the motion capture. Rihanna has done the motion capture a lot for Deck Nine on pretty much all the Chloe Price stuff, so they could easily do that, and they could easily get Ashley Birch to do the voice. They've done, and Rihanna DeVries could do like the facial capture. If not, it could be Rihanna DeVries, Chloe, but that I've got mixed feelings about that. Strange Owl, yeah, but Max killed an entire town for her just to have them get separated again. I don't think people are going to be happy with that, and I don't even, I didn't even save Chloe. So yeah, I agree. I don't think you're going to get away from the bait. That formulaic thing that they did with the end of the first Life is Strange basically created your fandom the way that we see it as well, especially with like, um, just in the sense that we see it like with people's admiration for Chloe and Max. Everyone loves Chloe and Max, and it just feels weird, a weird executive decision to be like, let's cut Chloe Price from this. That lives in this existence of many timelines. If you want to be like fan fiction esque, because it's a little bit of this game does feel a bit fan fictiony, if anything. Um, so Fuzz, hello. You're not late, don't worry. We're not being too long anyway. We're just chit chatting as it is. I know facts. Trying to respect both choices in the original game basically means it's impossible for Chloe to have anything other than a minor role in the game. Yeah, I agree with it. I think that in itself, the biggest challenge was basically bringing Max back in the first place because people keep, well, the marketing keeps says like, with Deck Nine and Square Enix, specifically Square Enix is like, we're giving back to what the fans wanted. It's like, I think the fans wanted it maybe 5, 6 years ago. And especially where it felt a bit more, where you could have give the reins to Donut. If I know Donut didn't want to do it, but I'll try and get Donut to do the game and try and create it at that time. It feels like this is kind of in itself, like guys, because like some tweets have been said, and I've seen it with some journalists. We'll talk about this more on Strange Cast with Adam because I've shown him. It does feel like this is kind of a little bit like a money incentive cash grab because like I don't like the fact that we have like all these ridiculous editions that we've seen. Like one of them is $30 expensive or more, and you basically get to access a narrative-driven game like what 2 weeks early before release, and that is just weird, man. I can't buy that at all, and I'm not going to accept that. I don't think it's fair for people who can't afford it because you're basically price locking them out of getting this game. I mean, I've got like loads of debates about it. I think like one of the things here as well, because you're here, and we'll talk about more about what we saw. Answer me this question because I'm very mixed on it. Is Life is Strange, the game, the franchise, a murder mystery game or a murder mystery franchise? Because I would 100% argue myself it's not that. It's a Deck Nine motif that with like a murder mystery game. I've never seen it in any way, shape, or form, a murder mystery. People have said the first game is like that. The first game is a coming of age story. And the murder mystery element of it is like minor compared to the overarching theme of that in terms of like the destruction of Arcadia Bay, messing with time, her rewind powers, her relationship with Chloe. It's become more of a theme of a murder mystery since True Colors, which is basically what that game was, where it was like, here's Alex Chen, her brother dies, we need to figure out what the mystery of this is. And that was a murder mystery because there was no connection with Alex Chen and other characters per se, like a main character. There was no Chloe and Max dynamic either with Ryan, Steph, and Alex. But I just don't agree with it at all. I think it's a weird narrative that's being spun because I think when they've even said it in the actual video, the director of the game, it was like it's a supernatural, murder mystery, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. It's like an interesting way of putting it, but as you will, let me just quickly pull up some more in here. And the fandom, Strange Hour and the fandom seems like it's split 50-50 on that choice. Completely agree with about that. Mind your business. I'm curious about our powers. I'm very curious about that as well. It was an interesting way of retconning and like moving on from that, if anything. Isn't the voice in the flashback Chloe? I couldn't tell if anything. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to watch that again. Strange Owl. Talking on a more positive note, I think there is going to be another person with powers in the game. It seems like the murder is supernatural in the sense. I've always had a theory that I feel like they're going to try and create like an Avengers moment with all the characters who have powers. It wouldn't surprise me if someone else has powers. Wouldn't make surprise me if the killer has power, for example, because if you create that supernatural murder mystery kind of element, it would make sense that this killer is kind of like working the way they are because it might just be the same killer from the same timeline. Don't know. We'll find out a bit more. I watched gameplay. I'm really intrigued by it. It already feels like they are digging deep into the origin of her powers. Yeah, but maybe not Force, because like they are saying it's like almost like a new power, if anything, that's come about. She's like, lost her rewind power, as they said. So it's like a manifestation of a new power. So they might be giving that origins. Let's see how it goes. Mind your business. Accessing the game 2 weeks early for extra money is so scummy to me. 100%. I wish people would be screwing more about it on like Square Enix's live feeds and their channels and stuff, because I think it's absolutely outrageous that is happening. And any kind of good faith that Square Enix is doing with its fan base, it is basically destroying with this kind of moments. So yeah, I completely agree with that. A Strange Owl, no, it's not for me, at least. Not even the first game. Not even the first game. I think that's in reference to the murder mystery. I think I would agree with that. So I saw True Colors as more of a closure, grief, and justice more so than a murder mystery. That's interesting, actually. That's interesting. I did not see it. I didn't see it that way myself. I just thought it was more of a murder mystery, if anything. Fours, yeah, I don't think originally a murder mystery. It shifts into focus later, but was never completely murder mystery. I agree with that. Yellow Flash, it was Chloe in the flashback. Yeah. And it's KJL. It's not a murder mystery franchise, but at the same time, I would say the coming of age story, either at least after the episode 2 of Life is Strange 1. I never thought Life is Strange is a murder mystery. I know facts. It's more of a coming age story. Of course, it is a completely coming of age story. It's built on that. Having the game Strange Owl, having the game early 2 weeks kills all discussion about the game. A lot of people will be able to talk about it 2 weeks earlier than because I find it unfair as well, because basically, look, I know some people in a better privileged position to own a game because, like, people's financial circumstances are different and games are more expensive anyway. And to pull a move like that, and especially on a narrative game, what's the point in even playing it? Because you're basically going to get spoiled, because everyone's going to run around commenting everything. You've seen the Life is Strange fan base. You've seen Twitter's algorithms. It doesn't take a minute for something to pop up. You haven't seen YouTube's algorithms. You only have to watch one Life is Strange video and it shows you like 50. It can show you a spoiler from the next game. I think it's just ridiculous that. I don't like it at all. And in itself as well, one of the things that annoys me with that is like you could basically had like Lost Records being released around that time, Lost Records Bloom Rage, and it's like you wanted to take a breather from Life is Strange, be like I'll wait until it comes out and then play it, but then basically Lost Records' second part comes out on the 15th of October, and you can access the first two chapters of Life is Strange early, and I'm kind of like, what? That's just annoying, if anything. Let's just quickly, I'll run through these last couple of messages, and then we'll go into the actual conversation a bit about seeing Hannah first, if anything. And if you aren't here as well, I hate doing this, as you know as well. If you can like the video, it does help. It does help kind of push things as well for us. It's just algorithmic things as well. And I hate saying it, but if you can, I do appreciate that. So let me quickly run through some of these. Mind your own business. I saw True Colors as more of a... actually, I've read that. Did I read that one? Yes. I've always sacrificed. Yeah. So Paul Van Hoff, hello. I always assumed the sacrifice Chloe ending led to Max not having powers. Now it seems it kind of taken Imagine away from me. No, yes, they have basically. It pretty much leads to that, because Max, you see her in the end of the game. It's like there's closure, there's expectation. When Max says, I need to use my powers again, it's like it makes no sense, because you're basically dumbing down your character, because you're telling them that they've not achieved anything. And I think there was a better, more effective way of doing this in the game. They could have just basically have said, like, she's achieved this power, and it's like she doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm going to do this. This power has completely different implications. Weave it into the game and do something like that. I just find it a bit weird. It dumbs down Max. I know facts. You're basically paying extra to avoid getting spoiled for the game. Super lame. Agreed. Because at the same time as well, I'll say this as well. I'm gonna have to buy it that way. I had this conversation with Adam, because I bought the collector's edition, which doesn't have any games, and it's like it's hard for me because I spent so much time with this franchise in like years, and then I feel like a hypocrite talking about it like that, because it's like, they are financially slapping me about here, because it's like that's just not fair the way that you're doing it, and you're basically losing all grace with fans. Like, hopefully it becomes a great game that they want it to be, because otherwise the backlash will be unbelievable to the franchise and the game, and the series and Deck 9 and Square Enix. For us, that decision is such a punch in the face. Great. Strange Owl, it's a pressure on the fact that the fear of spoilers is high. Imagine TikTok, if you have, again, I actually, like most people, like now as well, Strange Owl, don't like watch, like if you live in the UK, I remember when Game of Thrones was coming out, no, I knew friends who would not even sign into social media for the day, or even more so, and like people who used to work in social media jobs who would basically be like, nah, I'm not going anywhere near it because I don't want to be spoiled about this TV show. It's so instant access to everyone, and it's like we have to do it. I even talked with Adam, he did like a spoiler about the council, which I recommend to people, and I cut it out of the podcast because I'm like, I want people to go and play it, because it's like if we recommend stuff, it's like I just don't want people to feel ever spoiled about things, because some people might have access to something, some people might not, and you might think a spoiler is not a spoiler, but it, it does come across that. Um, Let me quickly move. We'll move into the Hannah talk. Just one more comment here. So it's let me quickly that EC03. It will be worse if the chapters 2 weeks early are Bucky 2. Well, considering the record that we had, the track record we had with Life is Strange Remastered Collection, I'm a little bit concerned about that. And considering the track record we have with a lot of modern games, which have like 15 day one patches, yeah, that's another concern for me as well. It feels like it's hitting a very tight window. This could have easily gone into next year. I don't know why it's coming out in late 2024. It just seemed logical to put it on the anniversary. Anyway, let's talk about what we saw. So we obviously saw Felice Kuan on the trailer, and she's working at Deck Nine. I think she's the narrative director or narrative designer. I can't remember actually what her full name is. And I'm just quickly pulling this up on the Twitter feed. You can go and follow our Twitter feed as well if you don't, because you'll catch up on pretty much everything we have here. So Felice Kuan is the narrative director, and then we had a confirmation that the game director is Jonathan Stauder. Jonathan Stauder, I believe, and I checked him up before. He's got quite a lot of credits on Telltale and stuff. So we have confirmation of like two of the kind of more lead characters in there. Sorry, two more lead developers, if anything. So it was interesting to hear them talk. Obviously, we got a kind of confirmation about the endings aren't canon. They're going to respect both endings. As you will, we'll get a segment with Safi, which kind of goes through the conversations of Arcadia Bay, etc. And we'll then you can kind of form your choices from it. Interesting choice, but I imagine we're probably going to get a lot of flashbacks to Arcadia Bay, guys, and Chloe Price. So if you are worried about it, I'm pretty sure Chloe's going to be like half the portion of this game in terms of flashbacks and memories and stuff about Max. I don't think they're going to forget about her. So that was all interesting. Obviously, the other thing we learned is Max has lost her powers, as you will, and then the new power is called Shift, which is an interesting concept. I think, we'll see how it goes, because the empathy mechanic in True Colors wasn't necessarily the best thing in the world. I think there was limitations there, but it feels like an evolution of it again. Can you see where the theme is here? It feels like True Colors was a little bit of a tech demo for this, if anything. So we learned all that, and that was all interesting in itself, and kind of got a bit more of that. Obviously, Hannah Telle was very, very cool to see her on there as well, and I'm thrilled for her to come back as Max Caulfield. We got kind of like an idea of what she got on there in terms of that she basically started working on this project after she left school, which was like, okay, or when she was at school, sorry, before she graduated with her neuroscience degree. So I think she might have known when I spoke to her last on both occasions, which is frustrating. But anyway, NDAs as you will. But yeah, she kind of like gave you alluding a fact of like how different the performance is going to be, because I think what we saw there, where she was like, my voice doesn't change, and it has ever so slightly, I would personally say, because obviously she's a little bit older, but I think like her voice is still Max, but it's Max has changed in terms of the way that she is, because this is where the demands of motion capture come in. So it'll be interesting to see how she performs in the motion capture side in terms of the mannerisms and stuff. Webb, the performance director who worked on Life is Strange True Colors, who was Life is Strange before Storm's co-director. He's very much about mannerisms. He loves Meisner, so it's like we'll see how the performance lays out there. And from what I saw in the actual game, it looked really solid. I have no complaints with that. So all quite interesting with that. I will ask you something as well, because we saw little moments of quips from Max. Did you enjoy them? Like, when the Shaka Bra, or kind of like just anything that was like in vein of Max from Don't Nod Max. Did you like it or not? Or did you feel like it wasn't interjected properly? Because there's a big challenge for the Deck 9 team to get the Don't Nod chemistry right. So I'm kind of keen to see where they go with that. I'm going to quickly jump in here and see if we've got any other people in here. Putting in here. Going in here. So yeah, we've got Yellow Flash, we got True Colors, was heavily reliant on the story, not necessarily game mechanics per se. I agree with you as well. It was all story. It was just the empathy mechanic did that. I know facts, Hannah's the best. Fuzz. By the way, Adnan, did you check Twin Peaks yet? No, I haven't. I'm probably gonna have a reality shock when I see that. I will get to it. I'm basically like swamped with things, and I have this kind of thing with my tism where it's like I just don't like starting new things. I can watch the same TV show a million times, and eventually, courageously, I'll get up and start watching that TV show. But yeah, I will get onto it. I'm going to kind of get into it. I want to get into it this summer at least, because obviously Lost Records Bloom and Rage is coming out. And again, guys, if you haven't seen, Lost Records Journal is out, available on all podcast services and YouTube. Looking into the technical issues of that, it was just a bit annoying, like overlap. I don't know what the issue is. Mind your own business. So hypothetically, if Alex were not to use her power for a long time, she'd have a different power in line. Yeah, I mean, mind your own business. You're probably working in the Deck9 creative team there if you're thinking that line, or the Square Enix vision of line. That just does seem like the way of imposters. What power does Daniel have then at that point? Has telekinesis evolved into I don't know what the evolution of telekinesis would be at that point. Can you read people's minds or something? Or could you read people's minds? Life is Strange 2? Am I going crazy? Am I lapping the universes here? Yellow Flash, this game's power does feel like a proper mechanic similar to the first game. Wouldn't surprise me, because Yellow Flash, one thing I did notice, when you notice where Max puts her earbuds in and she walks down, I bet you 100% that this game is going to borrow so much from that first game. And I already said about Life is Strange True Colors, how much it borrowed from the first game. This is going to try and stay so close to the Don't Nod formula that I think at that point it's just going to be try and see if we can hit the same success with it. There was so many shades of moments I saw in that game where I was like, hang on a minute, there's like shades of Deck9 moments, like obviously the little mini bottle cap game, but a lot of it was like life was basically like a Don't Nod game. And you kind of sit there thinking like Square Enix can't break away from that. They cannot break away from Don't Nod's legacy in the game, and it's not surprising either. For us, I'm going to be trippy hearing Hannah. Yellow Flash, it looks solid, yeah. Let me quick look through these. Strange Owl, the Shaka bra felt a bit weird, maybe. Again, it doesn't feel, because like one thing I remember seeing as well with Max as well, and I think it was Nicefield, lovely person on Twitter as well. Nicefield did a compilation where it's like Max bumping into things in the first Life is Strange. Hilarious video. And it's like, that's Max. And it's like, can you embody Max with that from the creative, like, telling of a Deck9 perspective? Because Deck9 stories have been hard and dark. You've seen it with True Colors when it's like, there's moments get quite dark. The characters don't have the same cheesy kind of like, cringe in a good way, kind of mannerisms that like Max has. Max is a cringe character, and that's not necessarily in a bad way. Max is built as a cringe character because you admire her introvertedness. Big point here. When I talk about Max, one thing that's the biggest challenge you're going to face with this is making Max the character she is from the first Life is Strange. Because if we look at Lost Records Bloom and Rage, Swan Holloway is embodying all those like introvert traits that Michelle Coe, the Life is Strange 1 and 2 co-director, embodies. And it's like, do you have that same kind of personality and character to bring her life? Remember, Max is a product of Don't Nod developers, Jean-Luc Cano, Michelle, Luke, Raoul, Christian Devine, among many other people who created her, gave her skin, gave her legacy, gave her a padding. Everything about her is built on that. And then you watch a Lost Records Bloom and Rage trailer, and it gives you so many more vibes from Life is Strange because it is the Life is Strange developers making it. And it's like, and I said this in the live stream with Adam, it's like, I would never, ever would make a Life is Strange game if anyone asked me to, because it's like, I might be a fan of the series, but I'm not touching Max because I'm not brave enough to do that. So let me quickly go in here. So I know facts. Adnan, you mentioned in the reveal live stream knowing about Hannah being in Colorado at one point. When / how did you know about that? I knew in 2022. It was the episode we did with Hannah, the last one that I did before my dad died, and we recorded, and Hannah was in Colorado, so she was recording in Colorado, and we were just chit-chatting about things, and I knew that she was there. So like this was because obviously people knew she was working on a project, and she was working on a project. She'd basically like put like loads of stuff on Instagram, and then after that they all disappeared, but I knew she was in Colorado at that time because I chatted with her, because and anyway as well, it's not just me that the fact that I knew from that call I know facts. It's also the fact that I think she even put an Instagram post out saying I'm going away from California. I'm pretty sure I remember that, where she's like, I'm moving to another state. I think it was, I don't know if she mentioned it was Colorado, but she said she was moving somewhere. So I think people got it from that. KJL, I love that it's in Vermont. Yeah, shout out to Vermont. Maybe we'll drive past Bernie Sanders. Who knows? I'm excited to see your reaction to it. Yeah, again, like, my expectations are big for this game. I will give it every second chance of what it is. I've been very critical of Life is Strange so far, the franchise, the series, the direction where Square Enix has taken it. Um, but I will be very open to it. But again, my expectations are through the roof right now because you can't sit here with low expectations with Max. It has to be something like remarkable. Otherwise, it might end in tears. And by the way, as well, one thing you might want to know as well, go and read that leak that we were mocking for about 2 years with Adam, where it was like basically they said the second part isn't as strong as the first part, which is a little bit concerning for me at the moment, hearing that, considering this person has got the leak right and also the True Colors leak right. Wild times. Let's have a look at. I'm not a cat. I'm not a cat. Real estate corky. How does her power evolve with no use? That doesn't make sense. If anything, it gets watered down. Yeah. They're basically trying to create a narrative that can, bring this power about. There could have probably been better ones, if anything. There could have been like a moment where she's like mistampering with time because she's still trying to save Chloe, and then from that, the evolution of her new powers emerges because she breaks a timeline or something. I feel like there's a better way of explaining this, but as you will. I personally think since Safi is still alive in the alternative universe, Rachel is alive too, and she's the killer. That's a wild theory, that. I wonder what motive Rachel has got. That would make me feel quite uncomfortable considering Rachel's one of my favorite characters, but that is something else that. So let's have a quick look here. So Strange Owl is very dangerous line to walk, having balanced the nods to the fans and having Max evolve his character. She's 10 years older. It's a lot of years. Agreed. It's a big thing. It's mad. We got Max Caulfield back before GTA 6. That just seems wild to me. I just don't know how you're going to handle it. Real estate corky. Why would she be the killer? It's probably something new. I agree with someone new. I agree with you as well. I imagine we'll see some of the other characters. It wouldn't surprise me if, like, Elliot Hampton or someone comes back from like Life is Strange, or like, God only knows, someone else like Nathan might get one or two nods. They kind of, I remember, was it Zach Garris? I don't know if I should mention that game. Like Zach Garris and like some of the other Life is Strange devs from like Deck Nine, when they were talking about True Colors, and they were saying that characters can come back because obviously we made a big deal of Steph coming back from that game. So that is interesting. And thank you to everyone who's watching as well. We got 16 people, which is really appreciated. So far, double exposure feels vague. There's a lot of questions they'll have to address an answer. But logic is one aspect of a good piece of media, in my opinion. I agree, but again, we've got a lot of questions to ask here because they are handling an established property, and it feels it's very dividing at the minute, very polarizing, because if this game doesn't work out, I think that the fan base will truly fracture. And that's my opinion, having been here for about 9 years, which is the scary part about it as well. I do think it's that. Mind your own business. I love how everybody pronounces Michel's last name wrong. Yes, we do. He's officially Michel Coe on this channel. We don't like call him any other name on here. One day, I think we'll revert to him having his proper name. But yes, he's Michel Coe here. Strange Owl. At times, Max felt like a new character, a lot of talking, not so shy, but then she goes back and says something weird, some weird 10-year clips. So here's the thing for you, Strange Owl, yeah? So my theory of a long time on True Colors was that actually Steph Gingrich was the main character in True Colors, and that in a kind of moment of change, that maybe the deck, just a speculation, just an idea, that Square Enix changed the decision here, and they wanted to make it more Life is Strange 1-esque, and they decided to bring Alex in. Because if you think about Steph, if you moved her into that central role, that story would still work, because you could go from the angle of, oh, Gabe's her best friend and he's died and he's been killed by, this Titan conspiracy, and she's trying to figure it out. And think about where Steph's position in the game. She's always there, but it always feels like she kind of wants to nudge into the main character role. Again, take this game, for example. Take Max out of it. Would it still work? Of course it would. If you took another character, for example, who can basically open rifts and splits, why wouldn't it work? Because the only thing that's hanging onto it is that you're basically trying to carry a Max story on, saying it's the legacy of this character. It's just a food for thought. I'm not hating for it, but by the way, because obviously if you enjoy this game, I will still be covering it. I will still be following it, but it's just some food for thought, because it's like you could actually technically just take Max out of this game. Out she goes. Put a new character in, new original character, as the Life is Strange DNA has been saying for ages. And yeah, you'd probably have the exact same story, wouldn't you? Because Max is just there because they wanted to put Max there as a decision, just for food for thought. And again, I do love Hannah Telle, so I'm very keen, like, seeing what she does as Max. It's just a suggestion. And in fact, I can only imagine how Hannah felt keeping that secret for so long. Yeah, I can only imagine as well. It must have been wild for her, that. Real estate corky, that's life. The world changes you, so Max no longer being shy is not surprising. Yeah, that's true. You have to be open to that as well. So again, I'm keeping an open mind despite all the other things I'm saying. So quickly go looking here. Who's that? ECO3. I wonder how many fan service lines like there will be like Hella, and if you get text from Julia asking what, yeah, there'll be all kinds of things like that. I think like in itself, the best thing to do with those kind of moments is show restraint and like be selective with the characters you're picking, throw the references around, because I think like that's what they did really well in Life is Strange 2. We love Life is Strange 2. That's what they did really well with Life is Strange 2, because there was nice references. It was picked. It wasn't like everyone came flying back. That entire like sequence with Dave Madsen was great. Enjoyed all that. So it's all about that. So a bit of balance, if anything. Yeah, so in the actual gameplay trailer, let's go into gameplay footage actually, because I'm still talking here. So the gameplay footage was interesting to watch. And again, like the motion capture team deserves a lot of plaudits. They've really, really finessed that motion capture line down well. And the facial capture was great. Those dialogues were fine. Like I was fine with those moments. Like, you know, this interaction with Safi. We obviously learned the other character's name, who's Moses. That's an interesting character in itself. I'm intrigued to see who he is and learn more about him. He's apparently Safi's friend. So again, we'll and I want that as well, by the way. I don't want it just to be like a flog fest of like loads of Life is Strange characters from different timelines coming out here. I want to know these original characters, because you basically established Max in her own little world here, and I want to know these other characters out there. I just don't want other people to start popping up because they have to. It's very cheap, and I think that there's better ways of telling a story here. The gameplay trailer was very interesting. So it seems like we have very limited points with the splits that we have that you can create. It's like, obviously there'll be like a prompt, which wouldn't surprise me. Again, it seems very similar to True Colors and the emotion mechanics that we had with checking people's empathy. So I imagine it'll be a trigger point that we can see with that. That in itself is a little bit limiting, because obviously you think about the first Life is Strange, you could rewind whenever you wanted and do all kinds of different interactions, and they've never still been able to manage the rewind mechanic in like cutscenes and choice and consequences, because I thought that was one of the most hardest decisions, where you basically had a scene with, for example, Max, Chloe, and Dave Madsen in a room. You can choose whether to come out of the cupboard or not. You see both outcomes, and then you still get very indecisive about what you want. So still very torn with that. But yeah, I want more content to see from it, if anything, gameplay wise. I still don't think we've seen enough gameplay for me to feel completely satisfied, because I want more meat on the bone. That was something that was lacking in True Colors. It felt like I was walking around an L-shaped town for a lot of it, and this is being advertised as a AAA game. And you might think I'm being critical, by the way, but considering they're charging us $30 more, or whatever it is, for a 2-week early access, I expect high expectations from a AAA game and a AAA publisher as well. So let me just quickly pull it up here as well. Fuzz, I really hope they will take risks in this game, unlike True Colors, and more in the direction of Life is Strange 1 and 2. I'll say this to you, Fuzz, now. That will never happen as long as Square Enix is the helm of this franchise. Not a chance. They're basically going to dictate the shots on this. And we saw that as well in the allegations article from IGN about bullying as well, which, again, IGN has responded to the article to IGN's article about its investigation to Deck 9, and Deck 9 has also responded to that for legal purposes. But we read about a lot of things there as well. And it seems like there was like a mismanagement in terms of even between Zach Garris and Mallory Littleton in terms of the fighting that they were having in the studio. It just didn't seem like a very good cohesive environment, in my opinion, just from behind the scenes. Let's jump in here quickly. Strange Owl 2 comments. It honestly feels like they are trying to do two things at the same time, having Max but not having her power, having both endings. They even said they had the Rift ideas before Max. Again, Strange Owl, think about it. How much do you think the publisher had interference in this, or would allude to something? I'm just having a theorizing speculation here, nothing more substantial than that. I'm just thinking on that, because remember as well, for anyone who's new here or who hasn't followed the channel for as long, I did an interview with Emma Vicelli back on the channel for a long time ago. And Emma Vicelli revealed to me one of her original ideas for the Life is Strange comic series, which you can go and check out as well on the channel. And if Square Enix had known about that interview prior to beforehand, I'm definitely 100% sure they never would have let that surface, because she had an idea of like, she wanted to kind of explore the theories behind the Vortex Club and like, go down conspiracy theory routes, and I thought that was dope as hell. But then obviously we got the comic series we did, which again I enjoyed, but they kind of established it was like, it's one hypothetical universe, and I was more intrigued about the Rachel Amber stuff, if anything. But I'm, it's still some big questions because it says to you there. Because one thing again, remember, Strange Owl, this is not a Deck Nine property; it's a Square Enix property, and when you sign up to a publisher, they can do whatever they want. That is the reins that they take. You are basically a contractor, a licensor. You are basically working on this game. And even to this date as well, Square Enix still hasn't got the message out to every single fan in the fan base, even the casual people that don't know it is no longer affiliated with the series. That's why it's a very difficult one. Just adding there as well, you said they said that they had the parallel timelines power before they had the power of bringing Max back, and that they have and that they found the perfect fit with her. Would honestly, weird honestly seems a little bit of a lie. Yeah, again, it wouldn't surprise me if the publisher wanted her back. And again, thank you to everyone watching. There's 20 people. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, again, we do that really horrible YouTube thing that people like doing, which is like the video, because again, appreciate it. And if you're wondering where Adam is for the new people, he's not here at the minute. We basically couldn't align schedules. He's working because he lives in North Dakota. But we are going to record Strange Cast this weekend. So I imagine that's probably going to be our biggest Strange Cast episode since maybe the allegations episode that we covered, or if not, like I can't actually remember the last time we got this big of one, especially because it's Max here as well. So again, and thank you to everyone engaging as well. It's nice to have interactions with you as well. It feels a lot more homey in this channel as well. Recently, so Paul Van Hoff, recreating the Don't Know Max with the same vibe will be a challenge. Very curious how it'll turn out. Also keeping an open mind, like you said. Agreed. Keeping an open mind, but again, my expectations are through the roof. That's why I'm like, people have like seen the reaction video me and Adam did originally, and we were reacting more crazily to the reveal of Max and the fact that the leaks were real. But like, my expectations are through the roof, because if you have Max here, and I'm not showing it in that kind of sense, I'm just saying like I expect a mind-blowing story, because no one can recreate Max from Don't Nod's games, and I'll say that as well. That is a Don't Nod. That's what makes them great storytellers. That's why I have followed their games for as long as they have, more so Luke and Michelle, and like that's why I'm so excited about what they're doing with Lost Records Bloom Rage, which we will continue to cover and we'll give a lot of publicity towards, and you should follow it as well, because it looks like a very exciting and promising game from Don't Know Montreal, and we've been covering that studio for about 3 years, I think, on this channel, so I'm very excited to keep up to date with that. Man your business, I see what you did. Fuzz, the moment Max took that first picture, everything got intense and strange, and I'm here for more of it. Yeah, again, creating curiosity and engagement. That's interesting. I know facts. I'm curious how many environments outside the university we'll see. Now, that's a big question again, because remember, me and Adam were very critical of Haven Springs. It was an L-shaped town. I remember the material they're building up to it. Big kind of like, selling point was like, you can travel around the town, you can do this, and that, and it felt quite empty by the end of it. And I was kind of like, is that really it? So I do hope that we see more than the university, if anything. But it might just be a massive university complex, and then you might jump to a different little open world when you open a rift or whatever it is. Like, I'm still trying to get the terminology along. Was it a shift or something? So, we'll see what happens there. Cruel Memories. Ooh. Still clinging of hope of asking Hannah for vocals for a Life is Strange song I want to write. At my snail's pace will take several years, so who knows. Best of luck to you with that. I don't know if she would be able to do it because it's a Life is Strange song, and she's obviously signed contracts with Square Enix and stuff, and I don't think she can obviously record lines that are related to products outside of that are related to the IP that Square Enix don't commission, so that could be a hurdle, just potentially a bit of food for thought. But if you did another song, I'm sure she might contribute to it if you can get a hold of her. KJL, I think Max shouldn't use her old powers because she knows what can happen. So I like the new mechanic. Agreed. But again, it's like, it's still that kind of thing where she's like done that line where she's like, I'm going to have to do this again. And it's like, hang on a minute. Like, didn't you learn from the first lesson? Or are you going to stem that down to her personality in itself? Who knows? Mind your own business. I have a mini theory that Moses was original protagonist in the concept stage. That's a very interesting claim to make. I would argue Safi might have been before they brought Max back. Take the Steph Alex scenario along again. The only thing that's changed that its entire like dynamic where it doesn't feel like an original anthology game is that Max is back, and that's in itself like where the big buzz is coming from. I see, if anything, and I've seen the fan base quite split by it as well. And yeah, that's an interesting theory to have, if anything. Let's have a quick look here. I'm just going to quick look here. So, Strange Owl. It's also weird this game isn't released anywhere near the anniversary. Do we want to think that they're trying to complete with Lost Records? The game release is in 4 months, so little time for announcement. I feel really bad for the people that don't know Montreal. We are talking about this on the Lost Records journal. Like, this is just like the worst thing that could have happened in terms of like timing and release window, because it's like the golden goose of the franchise has come back. Max Caulfield, it's their own property as well, like their own creation that they did. They don't own the property actually, but it's like creation, if anything. And it's just such a big kick in the teeth because like there's so much buzz about Lost Records, Bloom and Rage that this has happened. And it's like, I'm just kind of like, I hope that game still gets publicity. We'll obviously give it as much publicity as possible because I'm very excited for it. But one thing I'll say to you, because I think everyone's reaction was that we were all kind of expecting that there might be a reveal now or something, and then you kind of go to Q1 of 2025 and you release in the January window where Life is Strange turns 10 on Max's anniversary. Again, just a very questionable decision and a crash course in marketing. But again, think about the IGN article that they wrote about Deck 9 and Square Enix. They did say in there as well where it's like, it feels like Life is Strange is being punted to like the lowest bidder and just giving it to whoever it is, because Deck 9 in itself is a different animal we need to talk about. And I'm still like, want answers from the allegations, from all the other stuff with it. It feels like this has kind of completely swept things under the rug. So I do want these addressed, and I want journalists to address it as well, because I hope that these people do interviews and they ask these questions, because otherwise you're not asking them, you're not a journalist in my eyes. You're just a shell. Anyway, so let's have a look here. Foz, also thanks for the live streams. Second one now. Yeah, thank you for joining as well. It's very different from the world that we've kind of known as well. So it's quite nice to have that. And thank you to all of you who join here as well. Foz, the old franchise feels messy. Kind of, yeah. I'm again staying as optimistic as possible. It's my life that I've covered this series, and I'm trying to stay as open-minded about as possible. Cruel Memories, true, but as Adnan just said, that it might be an IP thing. Life is Strange copyrights, the other things. So at least my expectations are a bit more realistic. Now, just like work towards what you want to do. Adam talks about music all the time. Like, work to what you want to do, and maybe one day, like Hannah Telle you might find a different inspiration for it, where it's not a Life is Strange inspired song that has that connotation with it, and then you can try and reach out to her and record something. I'm sure she will. She's a very nice, lovely human being. So hopefully, keep working towards it. We've had people on here who talk about music. Jonathan Panetta came on here and did an entire interview about Life is Strange songs he was making. Make it if you want. Maybe she might not get involved with it, but you can still make something with it. I mean, I think in itself, I always say to people, check Adam's music out. He did an album which has Kylie Brown on it, and he never thought that was going to happen until I kind of pushed him in the direction of getting Kylie, because he almost gave up on it. But again, it turned out fantastic with him having there. KJL, imagine it could have Chloe again, who got shot. Paul Van Tov, it may be controversial, but I'm actually looking more forward to Lost Records. Now, Paul, I don't think that is a controversial take, because I said it before. I think that this game is the one that breaks the franchise in terms of the fan base. And it's not again saying in the sense that you don't look forward to it, because I'm looking forward to it with very high expectations. But I think some people who are the don't nod purists, people who really like the game's ending in the first game and didn't want to see Max and Chloe again, and didn't want to necessarily break what we saw as almost like a canon kind of conclusion there, if anything, for those two endings. I think people are going to be really detracted from it, because again, one more thing as well, this is positioned as a murder mystery game. Yeah. Lost Records is coming across as very much as a almost coming of age story of Swan Holloway, if a little bit. They're not confirmed it, but it does feel like a more focused piece on Swan Holloway and her friends. And it seems like there's connections between Swan Holloway and her her three friends that she's going to meet, rather than what seems to be a bit of a kind of rift already, where people are like, well, why Safi here? It's like, I want to be Max and Chloe. And it's like, why Safi here? And it's like, and I saw this as well, because one thing here, for everyone here who's watching, answer me this. If the ending of this game was choose between Safi and Chloe, who are you going to pick? Just drop your responses in here, because I actually want to see what it is, because it's basically universal. If you were going to do the ratings at the end, you know what's going to happen in terms of it. But do let me know that, because I do want to see what people think with it. So Yellow Flash, my expectations are quite high as well. I bumped out by the fact that Chloe won't be a proper character in the game. Probably not a proper character, but I imagine she's going to be in it. I wouldn't surprise it. I think you also put her Yellow Flash. I think they should have done the same thing the comics did and choose one of the two endings and go from there. Plus, people, yeah, it's messy because in itself, Michelle's talked about the fact that people have asked him on Twitter, and he's been very respectful as well. By the way, I think he's done really well because basically, if Michelle said anything in a different direction, it'd become even more tribalism between in the fan base. And I think he's handled himself and dignified himself in the most incredible way as possible, as he is as a human being anyway. I've only ever had great interactions with him, so I think he's handled it really well. But he's even acknowledged where it's like it'll be interesting to see how these endings play into parts, or if they're going to canonize something, because obviously Life is Strange 2 exists, as much as Square Enix doesn't want to acknowledge it, although they did acknowledge it in the stream. I kind of jumped up and down when I saw Sean and Daniel. It's actually quite good to see a bit of appreciation for the Diaz brothers, a lot of love for them as always. So let me quickly check here. And by the way, again, if my stream quality is not good, I need to fix this. I'm looking at improving, and I'm going to hopefully look at a better solution for this. But there will be a VOD version as well, so I'll do an edit on the weekend so you can watch it again if you want to watch the video version with me talking here. So let me have a quick look here. What else we got here? Not Real Estate Corky. We got your comment here, which was, I hope they would somehow come full circle. Chloe dies originally, but is saved by Max and her new friends who also have powers. Somehow a power to not just not rewind, but time travel through time. That's some crazy, crazy stuff. It'd be interesting to play that game, if anything. Life is Strange Avengers. It's going to happen. I'm going to tell you now as well. You can hold me to this. I might not even be on this world anymore. They're going to create like a Life is Strange Avengers game, and they're going to create all these main characters. I can see it from miles away. Strange Owl, I just hope the game will give Hannah even more recognition. She already deserves enough recognition. It was very surprising she never got nominated for a BAFTA in that first role. I would hope that this one gets her that BAFTA nomination, and I believe it will be. Let's have a look here. So we got some of the replies here from the question. Not Real Estate Corky. Real Estate Corky. Chloe, no doubt. I know, in fact, Chloe, easiest choice ever. Ha. Chloe, lol. From Paul Van. Yellow Flash, that's not a choice. Chloe, yeah, because everyone said this. I've seen people hypothetically teasing it. It's like, well, thingy. Wait, hold on. For well, I'm open to giving Safi a try. Well, you are really, really kind for that. Got a Safi fan in it. Fair play to you. Yeah, I'm just kind of like going in here. So Strange Owl again. This is Telltale, The Walking Dead all over again. Aha. Of course, people would choose Clementine over everyone else. Funnily enough, you mentioned Telltale as well, because the game director has a lot of credits at Telltale Games as well, which is, formerly of Telltale. So there's a lot there. Let's have a look here. Katana Go YouTube. Hello. My reaction. I'm so disappointed. There are so many faces at Deck 9 Square Enix that need punching. Better you than me. And obviously we got back to your comment again. Remember, in the reaction stream was completely different because we were reacting to something else. And on that next Strange Cast episode, we will be deep diving into a lot of things, because that price has really, really pissed me off, if anything, that they've put on here. The fact that they kind of like just, there's so many issues with it, and even the allegations that they're not talking about, things being swept under the rug, no real engagement and interest with their fans, kind of like, actually acknowledging like what they've done. It's horrible, if anything. My business, Lost Records, is taking a larger leap in the story than Double Exposure, in my opinion. Yeah, well, of course it is, because this one's just showing, Double Exposure is just showing tons and tons of shades of Life is Strange 1, and it's obviously done that with Max. Like, that is a new property, Lost Records. It's now becoming its own thing, and you see it in the way that they do the interviews, Luke, Michelle, etc. They are basically like, engaging it as like this, we worked on Life is Strange, but we're making something new and we're making something special. And again, the best look of them to them here. So I'm gonna run through some of these responses. Let's go look here. So, Real Estate Corky. Not only will A give up Arcadia Bay, the Storm can have all of them on. I don't care. Still, Chloe stays alive. A commitment to the Chloe. There, Kerwin. Hello. They could copy the old Life is Strange voices. Interesting proposition. Very much doubt it, because doing full performance capture. So it's not the same as what they did with Life is Strange 1 and Before the Storm in Remastered, because they ADR the voices on. So they basically had people come in, because we've done this with one of the interviews with Anastasia Davidson, who played Diane Jacobs in True Colors. She was Rachel Amber's facial capture in Before the Storm Remastered, and basically she was like lip syncing everything Kylie did there, but that was because dialogue is already written. So in itself, you wouldn't be able to bring some of these voices back, because like Victoria Chase's actor, Danny Knights, has like disappeared, like has gone out of acting. I tried to chase that interview for about 5 years, trust me. Never responded to me, gone. So it's like you wouldn't be able you'd have to use either Teresa Croft, who was Victoria Chasing Before the Storm, or get a new actor in. But then it's like more expense, because if you're basically getting an actor in to just do motion capture, then you'll have to do the ADR stuff with a different person. Too much expense. Just get someone into a motion capture studio and just do the entire thing, because it's full performance capture. It'd be very surprising if they were going to start doing that, if anything. Cruel Memories. This idea for a sequel was still better than mine. Mine was that Chloe and Max end up in jail, terrorized by Jefferson groupie. The more I think, the more I think of, worse the idea gets. Well, I'm not going to say anything. I refuse to speak. Mind your business, Safi. Safi. I always choose Chloe, but somehow Safi captured my interest in a 50-minute gameplay. That's very interesting. That first open-minded person I've seen about Safi. I'm not getting tribalism about it, but interesting there. So obviously be engaging with a lot of the comments here, but like onto the actual trailer if itself as well. Like, what did you think of like what you saw? Like, were you kind of overly convinced by the gameplay footage? Did you see more of it? Because like, again, I saw like limitations of it, because like the one thing I want to see, if anything, is like a gameplay footage where we're in the university and we're walking around and we see a bit more interaction there, because I kind of expected what we saw in terms of the minor gameplay where it's like Max is interacting with the group. We've got a bottle game, and then Max goes and finds Safi, and it's like it was very limited. I want to see what we do outside of that, where we can walk around. Do you have like the moments in the first Life is Strange where you walk around arcade, what's it called, Blackwell, and you kind of interact with like different places. I kind of want to see what you do in the environment, because again, that's the kind of big test what I want to see with Life is Strange Double Exposure, if anything. And by the way, you're convinced in the name Double Exposure, because it's very hard for me to kind of be convinced in that every time I do it. Say it. It's just a very weird name. A couple more comments here we'll go into here. So we got Forza Lost Records always feels like it's going to hit so hard. It's 100% going to hit hard. We'll see you in hell there. Strange Owl, I'm so hyped for Lost Records as well. Feels so fresh and cool. Also, did you see my theory on Twitter? I did not see a theory on Twitter. I might have missed that. There are a lot of theories going around here. I asked Adam about the alien theory on the Lost Records journal recently. I was very surprised what he said there. When they could be after Life is Strange 1. Is that reference to they make one? Oh, I'm going to need a bit more clarity in that. Are you referring to the actors part there? Who we got here? EatC03, hello. It would make sense, it based on your ending of the first game, either get a call from Chloe or Kate. Yeah, again, see, like, that's what I mean, though, but think about it that way, EatC. Like, you made an interesting point where it's like you get a call from Chloe or Kate, but then again, when my theory, take Max out of the game, put another character in there, does it make a difference it's Max? No, it doesn't. It's just like it's Max Caulfield, isn't it? At the moment, it does. It's like, and even, for example, all the stuff about her, like, memories of Arcadia Bay and stuff, you could easily write that out. It still feels very, like, it just feels a little bit, in my opinion, a bit soulless at the minute, because it feels like when you made the first Life is Strange game from Don't Nod, they were basically making a game because Max was at the center of it and Chloe was at the center of it. And it wasn't like, you can't take Max and Chloe out of that game. The same, for example, with Life is Strange 2. Take Sean and Daniel out of it. Take one of them out of it. It doesn't work because it's built on that narrative. That's the difference between a Don't Nod game, if anything. They know how to write characters and they put them central to the story. So let's quickly go into here. Torch Star Hunter. By the way, I love all these different names. Would be much nicer if the timelines Max travels between were the Bay and Bay timelines again. I think in itself, like, my theory with this is I think people are kind of moving and expanding their ideas too far and high for it, because I don't think we're going to jump between tons of timelines. We might revisit certain version of Arcadia Bay. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know if we're going to spend a load of time in it. That's my only fear that I have at the moment. I don't think we're going to spend loads and loads of time in one setting like that. I just don't think they're gonna. I think that's a different story in itself. It feels different because it feels like they're trying to tell this, as I said, murder mystery game. So it's like we're focusing on this character, if anything. Just a theory as well for anyone in here, and let me know your answer. Do you think the killer is a character from the previous Life is Strange games, or is it a new character? I'm just curious about that. I have been thinking about it recently, as part of this murder mystery one. So let's have a quick look in here. So, not real estate. Sorry, I don't keep saying that. Real estate corky. So Max traveled We know she traveled with Chloe from Life is Strange 2. So I wonder what happened. Did they split? Was Arcadia sacrificed too much for Chloe Max? Again, it's causing confusion. This in itself, I'm confused. I'm sitting here wondering what's going to happen next. They looked a lot like the beginning of Max of Life is Strange as Max walked uphill again. The beats are going to be there. I told you. This is Square Enix direction. They are tapping into that first Life is Strange in every way, shape, or form to get as much from there. KJL, I love that they kept both endings, and I like Safi again. Yeah, interesting. I'll see how Safi goes as well. It'll be an interesting way if we can win people over. I know facts. The gameplay footage seemed pretty run of the mill. They didn't show anything super captivating in terms of gameplay. Again, yeah, it probably would have helped if we saw like tons of more Rift, the split gameplays. If anything, that would have been great. Strange Hour, yeah, it was a fun follow up to the Theory. The podcast tagged you, so don't worry. Thank you so much. I will check that out as well. Matt4541, thank you for joining. Hello. I hope you're still being here. Were you here for all this time? I'm gonna scroll up here quickly. I can't see you in the early chat, but hello. Anyway, what if the twist is that Max killed her friend and it turns out she's the game insert spot? She's the game's killer. Would be a fun way of going full circle. Yeah, maybe it'd be a bit out of character as well. And then at that point, I think the fan base is going to truly get split completely. Mind your own business. Double exposure is better than aperture for sure. Yeah, I agree with that. For marketing purposes, aperture would just not sell in the same way. Cohen, it would be an amazing new one. Let's have a quick look here. It'd be an amazing new one. Not real estate Corky, new. Mind your own business. If you replace Max, slap a different traumatic history, and boom, same story. Agree. It's the truth though. Like again, I'm not in the simplest way pissing on people's prayers if they're excited for this game. I am sitting here with open expectations and warmth because I've talked about it in Strangecast before. Me and Adam talked about the series, if it's tainted, if it's this and that, and I've kept an open mind with it, and I'm still keeping an open mind, but I'm very much more critical at this point because I want to know where do we go from here. And I'm just not going to sit here with like the kind of thing of like, oh, we'll bring Max back and we'll like start taking loads of money off people through collector's editions and like early access releases and not give them what they want, because it better be a full focused Max story, if anything. So yeah, and by the way, one more theory because we can talk about it because we're seeing it in the gameplay and what we've seen so far. There's a theory going on, and I think this is going to be the ending, which is going to be basically a two-choice ending, which is you live in the timeline you choose. So I think you can have obviously choice and consequences you're creating in both timelines. And basically the end choice will be to go back to your own timeline to live without a Safi or to live in a timeline with Safi. Again, copying very similar shades to the first Life is Strange. Do you think that will be the ending that I think at this point? Or if you have a different ending, let me know. I'm just curious with that. So let's have a think through the trailer because we'll go back on subject because we've been talking for a while. And I don't actually know how long we've been going on for here, if anything, but we're going on for an hour actually. Jesus. So the trailer, we learn Felice Kuan is on there. We know that about Jonathan as well in there, who's game director. We know those two people are Deck Nine are working on it. So we got that in itself. And they kind of explained that obviously not both endings are canon. We're kind of keeping things open-minded. We're keeping a new direction in the series, etc., etc. So we got all that down. We learned Max has lost her powers. We've learned that Max has got a new power as well, and that's kind of seems to be the new caveat that they kind of like pivoting towards, if anything, for the series. We've got Hannah on again. Great to see Hannah. Wonderful to see Hannah. It's always great for her. She should have been the mascot for much longer. Obviously, barring Deck Nine Deck Nine don't know how different direction of the series, and it never really planned a sequel for that game, if anything, in the first place. Great to see her back. Obviously, the main focus will be on her performance as performance capture because she's kind of openly suggested that her voice hasn't really changed much, but Max's voice has changed a bit, and you've seen that in the actual game as well. She sounds very different, and her mannerisms are very different because we're now seeing a Max that's full body performance captured. Prior to that, we only saw Max that was only motion capture because Serena did the motion capture for Max, and Don't Nod really stressed a lot of her mannerisms because her walking was a big one that they did. And you can check that interview out with Serena on the channel if you are new here as well, because I talked to Serena about motion capturing Max because I was that keen to talk about her with her. So we got that, and then obviously the gameplay footage, which was the kind of like in itself, I found it quite weird that we saw portions of the Rift, like the splits that we saw in like the segments that were kind of like talking about things about when Felice Kuan and Jonathan were talking, and like even when Hannah was talking, it's like that wasn't really shown in the proper gameplay footage, like as like more extensively. As I said, we got a bottle game, which was interesting and kind of like the Deck Nine vibe as it is, and then we got to the Safi reveal of like this is the kind of like this is what happens to Safi, which I imagine is probably just the opening of the game at this point, if not maybe just a little bit after the opening. So again, it wasn't the most mind blowing reveal. And by the way, as well, one more thing as well, guys. Tell me what you thought about the setup. Doing in that room with like the sofas and stuff. It felt very different from what I've seen before. What they were doing, it felt. I was a bit like kind of aesthetically blown away with what they were doing. I was like, it's an interesting way of doing that. So I'm going to get back to the chat quickly. I'm going to try and see where we got up to. Right here. So go Strange Owl. I'll keep my theory that the killer is someone with a power, so someone new. Yeah, fair enough. Britta Kirk, hello. For some reason, it would make me happy to have a killer be someone from Life is Strange 1. Or who's a killer then? That's interesting. Real Estate Corky, killer is Warren. No, Warren's still standing outside the window in the first Life is Strange. Trust me, he's still there. Strange Owl. Also, how does IMDb work? Because Elliot from Before the Storm is listed. Now, here's the thing with this Strange Owl. I will tell you how IMDb works. That is just someone who's added it for the sake of it. Because I remember when, for example, and this is something you never saw, in the interview I did with Serena, who was Max's motion capture actor from the first Life is Strange, again on the channel if you want to watch it, off podcast before we even started recording the interview, she turned around to me and said, because I sent her some of the questions because she wanted to look at them. She's like, Adnan, why have you asked me about Life is Strange 2? And I'm like, because you're listed on their credits for IMDb. She's like, I went through all my files and looked through things. She's like, I wasn't involved in that project. So basically, anyone can add to IMDb. I think usually it's actors or the agents that can add to stuff. But at this point, I think someone has added it on from pure speculation that that character who's got like the Phantom Ghost is like Elliot. That's what I think of it so far. So I think the association is that people have done that. Because again, you can go through some of the other credits of like certain people and it says like they were involved in certain projects and they've never been involved in them. IMDb is not necessarily a completely reliable source. It's like Wikipedia. It's very much, you'll never get the full picture of it. So it's just one of those. So that's just a bit of clarity on IMDb. Real Estate Corky, he's got a taste for blood. Matt 4541, Max becoming a teacher after what happened in Life is Strange 1 is a little bit surprising to me. Maybe it's a bit of a trauma reflex, if anything. That would be, and yes, it is a very interesting choice of profession as well. I would not want to be a teacher after what happened there. Also as well, if the killer is a teacher, I'm going to be so annoyed. It better not be one of her colleagues. I'll be very annoyed. That'll be just even more poor storytelling. Paul Van Hoff. I wouldn't be surprised if the killer is a new character and follows the same-ish pattern in True Colors. Yeah, you mean the Screaming Enigma. That was, what's he called now? What's he called? The character. I can't remember what he's called now. Jedison, as we called him. Adam called him. Jedison. We had Jed, and he's a Jefferson. Honestly, when I saw Jed the first time, I was like, it's him. That was why my disappointment settled in for True Colors, because when I realized what True Colors was doing, I was like, very, very pale imitation of Life is Strange 1. It was a good game in itself and great performances, but could have been more. Yellow Flash, that could be the ending, yeah, but it has even more implications in the past game. Kerwin, could go back up to Chloe. Oh, Dreamwalker, hello. How are you? Alex, how are you? Oh, you're still on. I wanted to say Luke Bagados would never have hidden cat content behind a wall. No, Luke Bagados would never have done that. Luke Bagados only takes his cats to the vets. That's what Bao tells us. Bao is our informant at Don't Know Montreal. After every visit he goes with Luke to the vets, he tells us everything that the studio is working on. Also Asteroid Theory Vindication. I've been saying this since early 2019, and it seems I was just a couple of seasons off. So yeah, agreed. I always enjoy reading your theories, and you are much better at them than me. My theories and predictions are awful. The track record is awful so far. Strange Owl, I was also thinking, if you choose Chloe's sacrifice Bay ending, every choice like saving Kate didn't happen. So how? Yeah, I think what you're saying there, Strange Owl, I think people are going to relate to. I think you're going to feel quite disconnected because remember as well, all the material that has been promoted about this game so far has basically been like, you can be a newcomer to the series. You don't have to have played the previous games. So I think you might get like the kind of like the fan service people want, but I don't think people are going to get the full fan service they get because they're going to try and sell this to every single person on the planet. Because I've seen people who are just casual fans in the series. I'm not taking this as a dig, but just casual fans who are basically excited for the game. People who just have like an idea of Max and have played Life is Strange and enjoyed it, are excited for this game. It's basically to try and appeal to every single person as much as possible to get as many sales as possible. Because Life is Strange was one of the few IPs that Square Enix didn't sell to the Embracer Group, and I always found that very interesting. I've always felt that there was a cash cow opportunity. And one thing I'm very much anti towards, and I don't really want to see if anything, is that if this game is a success, it really wouldn't surprise me if Square Enix commissions a Life is Strange 1 remake. Wouldn't surprise me at all. They've shown that they can do it. You've seen it already with like Max, with like Hannah coming for the performance capture. Wouldn't surprise me if they try and commission something like that. Again, never get married to your character or to whatever you work on. Dreamwalker, thanks for the IMDb clarification. I was scared why Deck 9 would bring back the worst character, Elliot. Yeah, that was a horrific character in Before the Storm. And again, I'll put this as well from Strange Owl. Elliot would be crazy, the worst character of the franchise. He was terrible. It was in fact, he was just terrible. It was like a weird, creepy, bad stalker. It was like a pale imitation of Warren, if anything. And I don't know if you want to really consider Warren a stalker, but like it was a really poor version of Warren that they tried to attach to Chloe, who is just not going to be friends with someone like Elliot. And then just got deeply uncomfortable towards the end. I know they're trying to do that with the scene of like that they were trying to do that with the scene where he confronts Chloe at Rachel's house, but it was just deeply uncomfortable. And this is from a studio where IGN article said that you had one of the writers complain about Zach Garris trying to put a spiking scene in there. I think if you were going to contextualize it, you could work that scene. There'd have to be a bigger time frame, and it seemed like True Colors might have gone down that road because of like in terms of them being in a bar all this time and the fact that Jed runs this bar, etc. But again, yeah, he's just not a very good character. Yeah, Dreamwalk, yeah, that's how IMDb works. It's not necessarily a completely reliable source. Just take it with a grain of salt. And by the way, as well, on that as well, because actors update them, so it's even when even with Kylie, I once asked her a question about one of the projects she was working on. She's like, yeah, that's actually going to be completed. It still says it's on post-production at IMDb. It's not necessarily a completely verifiable source. By the way, thank you to everyone joining. We've sort of 23 people in here. If you haven't already, again, if you can like the video, again, it helps promote the channel and promote this all the content we make as well. So thank you to everyone who has already as well. And thank you to everyone who's liking the Lost Records Journal on podcast service. We've now got 5 ratings, which is crazy. We've got 29 followers on that as well, which is great. And we're on 192 followers on Strangecast, which is again blowing my mind on Spotify. That's on Spotify alone. So, and we're on 20 ratings on there. So thank you to everyone who downloads, watches, supports the channel. I really do deeply appreciate that. It means a lot to me and Adam. We have a very small channel, a very small platform with people. So let's go over here. Who else we got here? Britta Kirk says, watch, it'll be Jefferson again. Oh, God. If it is, this channel's going as well. I'm not having that. KJL, there is a potential for a Brody comeback. Would you trust Deck 9 with Brody? I think Brody had a very good impact with Life is with Don't Nod and Life is Strange 2. And by the way, as well, KJL, it's a Life is Strange 2 game. We don't mention Life is Strange 2. Square Enix don't bring back those characters. They don't talk about them. We don't have that. So Paul Van Hoff, this time it will be Jefferson. That's hilarious, that. Oh my God. Real Estate Corky, Jefferson game powers now. Dreamwalker, is Adam busy experiencing real life? Yes, I've cut him from the content here. I'm not having him on here anymore. He's done. He's getting axed. We're doing a revamp here. No, he's basically working. He's just not available at the minute. It's like he's in North Dakota, and they've obviously recorded like early doors, and it's like am I 6 hours ahead of him something? So he's like bogged down deep into work. So, but we'll talk about it in the Strange Cast episode. Dreamwalker Alex, it's going to be tired. So Matt451, I think it makes sense because Chloe was basically an outcast and deprived of attention. So I see her getting with Elliot. Yeah, but even then, it doesn't seem like Chloe wants her there. Like, do you want to play? From what I remember Before Storm, it just doesn't seem like she wants to engage with him in any way, shape, or form. And I'm kind of a bit like, I just didn't really, I didn't feel the vibe. If anything, I just thought it was a bit. By the way, as well, in itself, fair enough. If you make that comment, that's fine. He's also the most forgettable character in the series. So if you're gonna bring someone back, why would you bring him back? It's like, why don't you just bring back Steph, if anything, or bring someone from Myers back or something? At least you got someone that's a little bit more relatable, if anything. So. Alex and Dreamwalker, Dream President. Do you think if your conversation with Safi, you mention Arcadia being destroyed, that she will mention a photo of a girl with a green hair instead of blue in your wallet, matching Life is Strange 2 photo? The only problem there, Alex and Dreamwalker, is that basically you're mentioning Life is Strange 2, and Square Enix don't mention Life is Strange 2. They don't like that. No, I think that would work for us, but again, if it goes off what they're trying to do, where it's like they want to appeal to masses, I think that's like a minute detail. They'll probably ignore it. I could be very much wrong, but I hope that they do that. Brett Kirk, I really love your channel. I've just discovered it and it's awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really nice for that. It's a very small channel. I always call it the internet's best kept secret, depending on who it depending on who it is. Torch Sahon, just found your podcast this summer and I've listened to every episode of Strange Cast and Lost Records Journal. Really enjoy you and Adam putting out content. Thank you so much for that. Really means a lot. We've had a lot of people. I've interacted with a lot of people over my time, but it's been like Strange Cast is like 3 years old, and actually the channel turns 4 years old next month. I think I set up the channel 4 years ago next month, and the first video came out 4 years ago in August, which was the Hannah Telle interview that I did for the channel Life After Strange. So thank you so much for supporting that. It's very hard to get people to see this channel, which is the most frustrating part. I try and put it under people's nose just so they can see. I don't really want 15 million subscribers, although that would be nice though. But anyway, I don't got more important things to create content. DreamWorks Square Enix already showed Life is Strange 2 in the event today for a split second when talking about past games. No inclusion of Captain Spirit though. There's the thing, Alex. Split second. Split second. It's like Final Fantasy 13 getting a mention. They mention it and they're passing and go. But oh god, like by the way as well, I hope that we don't see Sean Diaz back under their control. That would be like no. Like that would be the Achilles heel for me. I'm like, no, Don't Nod can only handle those characters, especially in Life is Strange 2. Not a chance. I would not ever want to see those characters ever be touched by another studio. I just don't see anyone doing the same thing with that. Real Estate Corky, geez, boring North Dakota. Yeah, I think he's North Carolina next year, maybe. Or is it this year? He's moving, but like, yeah, very boring thingy. I'm gonna boo him at the end of this episode as well, Adam. Kerwin, there will be 6 more before next year. Yeah. Real Estate Corky, no Captain Spirit on PS5. Shame. Dreamwalker, thanks for watching my episode then. You're talking to Bingy. Let's have a quick look here. KJL, I'd love to see a new Tornado. Yeah. Strange Owl. Sean Diaz is the killer. Yeah, I'm not having that. Sean is my boy. We don't do that to Sean. We don't do that at all. By the way, as well, what did you think of Chloe being shown in the actual, like, this little reveal event? Because obviously we've got the massive picture of her, like, on that Polaroid, which obviously I tweeted out very quick on the Player One Versus All Twitter account, and all these other Twitter accounts pinched it. I'm not going to name names. You'll probably be able to go and find them. But yeah, I tweeted out saying that there's our first mention of Chloe, but that Polaroid, everyone's like, it's basically, I feel like there might be a bit more connection there, if anything. I think we might open a rift up or something to access that world. Who knows, if anything. So, what else have we missed? Have we missed anything else? I don't know if we missed anything else from the reveal event. I quoted a lot of it as well as tweeting a lot of it. I can't actually remember if they said anything that was mind-blowing different. The supernatural murder mystery was very interesting because obviously for me, when they're saying it, it seems like a marketing pivot, like that's going to be the direction we're going with. And then Felice Kuan didn't really say anything that was more that I already knew. It seems one thing I'm very interested with Max is if the tonal change is captured, because I think that we're gonna have a mature Max, but I just don't know if she's gonna capture the same introvert character that we see in the first Life is Strange, and that's not down to Hannah Telle's performance or Webb's performance direction. I think it's going to be more on the writing side of it. I don't know if Deck Nine are really going to capture the character as well as they can, because they captured a really good version of Max as a younger version, a very, very younger version for Farewell. But this is basically a straight continuation from the Don't Know character, and you're missing the key minds behind it again. Jean-Luc, Raoul, Michelle, Luke, Kristen Devine, all these people. I'll mention a couple of them every time, but it's the same, like, people, like, these are all people who gave her life. You look at Lost Records, Swan Holloway, Desiree, Nina, Jean-Luc, Michelle. These people are all giving her life because it's based on different personalities. And I'm just wondering, I'm hoping to God that Max doesn't turn out to be quite soulless in the game. That would be a very difficult one, because again, it doesn't seem like she's necessarily essential to the game's plot story. It seems like a bit of a marketing ploy. And by the way, let me just read you 2 takes here as well, because I'm going to give you this as well, because I've got them on my phone, and we're going to do it in the Strange Cast episode. But seeing as you guys are all here, I'm going to read these 2 comments out and see what you think about them. Let's go on bookmarks here. Bookmark them for you here. So this was from Chris Schilling, who formerly worked at Edge. He's a journalist, and he put out this, and I retweeted this as well. He's put, and this was after the reveal of Double Exposure. He put, they should really have had a new protagonist for Double Exposure, I think. Max returning feels like a commercially motivated decision rather than a creative one. which I fully agreed with. And then the other one was Imran Khan, who I believe is on Kind of Funny a couple of times as a journalist as well. And he put a couple of tweets. I don't think people who didn't make the original Life is Strange should get to bring Max Caulfield bring Max Caulfield back to Cheers, but that is just me. I think it would be different if Max is always the main character of the series, wasn't anthological to begin with. But this feels to me, quote unquote, remember that character you had emotions about that we didn't write? She's back with a new Scooby-Doo mystery, end quote. To be clear, this is not a hill I'm willing to die on. So those two takes that was said there, which I thought was very interesting. That's how I feel personally at the minute, because it feels like it is a commercially, financially motivated decision rather than we love Max, we want Max in the game, and this is the story we're telling, and that's the only thing that's put me on edge a little bit, because again, we'll go very much open-minded into it. As critical as I'm being, as much as I'm saying things, I'm gonna go open-minded. And you guys might not believe it considering the way that I act sometimes, but I am going to say that way, if anything. And by the way, as well, I can't get over the fact the pricing of this game. I don't like the fact that a narrative single-player adventure game is being released 2 weeks early for people on a higher price tier. That is just so despicable for a channel. It's just for a channel, for a publisher. It's just awful. It's just terrible industry practices, isn't it now? Let's have a quick look here. Strange Owl. I feel like they showed the Polaroid because it was the only thing we're going to see of Chloe. Flashbacks don't work for a new audience. Maybe that's an interesting theory. I do think that they're going to come back in some way, shape, or form. I think she's going to come back in some way, shape, or form. Again, it could even be the opportunity where it's like a crazy nightmare sequence and Chloe's walking in a distance and Max is chasing after her. Don't have to put dialogue in it. Save yourself a bit of money there, if anything, for it, but I think you can capture it. Again, as well, here's the other thing, Strange Owl. Rihanna DeVries lives in Colorado. Rihanna DeVries has been Chloe Price's motion capture actor for, obviously since before the storm. And I don't think they're going to age Chloe Price, because obviously they're going to try and, I don't know what universe they're going to go with, but I imagine we'll see Chloe in her original form, if anything, from the Life is Strange 1. They could easily motion capture it. And I feel like they're just going to bring Chloe Price back, because it just feels weird to make a Max Caulfield game without Chloe Price. Again, those two characters are central to the story of the first Life is Strange. You don't have Max, you can't have Chloe, you can't have Chloe, you can't have Max. They need each other because they work on that dynamic. So yeah. Paul Van Hoff, by the way, I discovered your channel yesterday. I'm a big Don't Nod fan and will check out some of your videos when I get a chance. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here as well. We appreciate you. We're always here as well. We're always here to talk as well. So I'm glad with that. And we have a very small little community of people who like our content and then who don't like our content. We have someone who dislikes every video. It's just bizarre behavior, but as you will, if that makes you happy, give me a bit of engagement. Anyway, Yellow Flash, I'm confused in what timeline it corresponds to me, because if it's Bay, how the hell does she have a photo of Chloe like that? See, this is the problem, Yellow Flash, because I don't know if you played Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, because I'm not going to spoil it, but I've played them. I love those games. I think they're amazing, like remakes and stuff like that. There's also people in the Final Fantasy community hate them because they're basically turning into multiverse games, and you see it as well in the Rebirth. Rebirth is like so many strands of universes and stuff. It's like, you kind of sit there thinking Jesus Christ, it's like, which universe are we in? And it's like, it's so hard to get clarity across it, because that's the only fear I have with this game, when Max is ripping tears into the world and stuff like that. Is it really going to are you really going to be following it properly? Are you not going to get sidetracked? Because people are saying that, where it's like, oh, we're going to jump between timelines, we're going to meet Rachel and Chloe. What happened to Safi? Are you not going to take focus on Safi, on Moses? Are you not going to give those focus? Are you just going to go and run after Rachel and Chloe? If Rachel comes into a scene, if Chloe comes into a screenshot, like any screen frame, they basically trample over any other character you're giving any exposition for. It's pointless. Why did you even create them at that point? So it's like, you're going to have to be a bit more careful of how you actually manage this, and we'll see how they actually manage it towards release, and if not, when we get more content from them. I imagine we'll get interviews. Again, I hope these journalists start questioning them about these allegations, because it seems to be getting swept under the rug, and that's not a good look, if anything. So let me go here. Matt451, I think the community is going to be divided no matter what they do with Chloe. 100% agree with you. I've never seen the community this fractured. Let me know if you think the community is fractured as it is at the minute, because I think it's the most fractured it's ever been, probably even since Life is Strange 2, if not more. I think there's a very much a tribalism debate happening, where people are like, I love this game, I don't like this game, I can't believe they're doing this. And it's fair as well, because I think you have to embrace both sides. I'm embracing people who are enjoying this game and like it. I like the fact that people in here are saying that they like Safi as well. That's an interesting one as well, because it's going to be interesting to see more of that character because we've seen frames of her and she seems like a good companion for Max for now. But again, it's currently being overshadowed by Chloe Price because that's what's going to happen. KJL, maybe because she can travel via pictures. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. We saw that shades of that in the first Life is Strange, but again, that was a different power as well. We've got a different power here. So let's see how that goes. Kerwin, they could make a voice by computer. They could make a voice by computer old voices. Yeah, maybe we don't go into AI here. There's going to be a little bit too many of ethical things there. Oh, wait, they could make a voice by computer old voices. Yeah, let's see. I don't think we're. Yeah, I don't get the full context of that. I'm going to move on from that. Dreamwalker, what if they charge another 50 to get an extra week earlier than the Ultimate Edition? Please, Dreamwalker, do not give them ideas. They might even see that and do that. Please don't do that. Like, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But think about it as well, Dreamwalker. They're already charging extra for that edition, if anything, and then they got a collector's edition which doesn't have, you know. You got an edition there which doesn't have a game, it doesn't have a disc, it's like anything, and it's like, what? So you basically at this point as well, you might be paying upwards, depending on where you are, over $100 for your full Life is Strange collections that you want. And it's like, you might just say buy the standard versions, but it's just outrageous, man. It used to be like a little premium on top of getting some of these editions. Now they're just outrageously priced. Seb, hello Seb, how are you? Hope you're well. Strange Owl, it's not even that they didn't create, they are not really following the will of Michelle, and others do not make a sequel. Yeah, but again, Strange Owl, this is the problem with it, because it's like it's in the helm of a publisher at this point, because they're going to do whatever they want with it. It's that kind of thing of don't get married to your character. And it's like, and that's the thing with Michelle. It's like Michelle, I think, is handling himself in the most dignified way possible, as he would anyway. He's a nice guy as it is. If you ever interact with him, he's lovely as it is. But it's like, he just knows at this point, it's like, you can't sit there and fight something that's going to happen, because they'll do what they want. And again, yeah, you're right, because they can't follow Michelle's direction, because they're not Michelle Co. And in itself, Michelle has shown his personality is interjected into the characters. We talked about Swan Holloway again. She's an introvert that he keeps talking about. He's like, I'm this kind of introvert. This is the introvert you're going to meet in Swan, but you'll see shades of himself because he's got such an important influence, that character. Will we see those shades of Michelle, Raoul, and those other people in this Max version? No, we won't, because they've aged her quite a lot. But then it's like, you're going to, at that same time, have to create an identity for Max, because she doesn't have an identity at this point. She's a different character. As you will. So let's have a look here. Seb, I'm still not feeling it. The dialogues were a bit lifeless, in my opinion, in what they show. I agree with you, Seb. The delivery was weird, because it's like, it was that weird thing where it's like, Max goes from being Max as a teenager to Max as an adult, but there's no seamless transition to it. There's no like reference to it. When she does it, there's like, it needs an execution. It needs a flawless execution to do it. So that's we'll see if they can try and nail that. So let's have a quick look in here. Who else is in here? So Torch, Star Hunter, do we have any info on how much time has passed between the game? No, I don't think so off the top of my head. Maybe someone might say it in here, but I think it's like a decade. It seems like a decade. Kerwin, you retracted your message. There's a murder mystery for us all to solve here. Paul Van Hoff, Life is Doctor Strange. Let's have a quick look in here. We're going to keep scrolling down. Dreamwalker, like when Dave trampled over Sean and Daniel for many streamers. So people are saying 10 years have passed. Real Estate Hawkey, I like Steph. I 100% expect Steph to be in this game. I wouldn't be surprised. It's like the Deck 9 mascot, if anything. So he's definitely going to be in there. Daniel Walton, hello. How are you? I know you've been here for a long time. Hello. Is 5 chapters correct? Now, I don't think we've got clarification on the chapters yet, because you get 2 chapters early with the early release. So I don't think you get the full game, which is even more insane. Can we please, people just tweet at them or say something? I'm gonna write. I feel like making a video and just tweeting at them saying that this is the most egregious thing I've ever seen. It's just so weird. I would assume it's 5 chapters. Daniel, I'm gonna say it's a 5-chapter game. It seems to be that was the kind of the way that you kind of do games. I think True Colors is 5 chapters. It's been that long I've played it. I think it's 5 chapters. Yeah, Dreamwalk, I don't think they've said how many chapters. I don't think they've said how many it is. Cohen, they should use the old voices from Life is Strange 1. Again, it's very difficult to do that. It's just going to be very difficult to put that onto motion capture and ADR. And then you're going to tamper with trample with AI and make the game a bit more soulless by giving people's performances from direct. There's going to be all kinds of like ethical things there. About Paul Van Hoff, it's €8 for the Ultimate Edition and another 80 for the Collector's Edition. Everyone's really absurd. See, look, Paul, I'll say it here. I've ordered both of them because I said this to Adam. It's like Life is Strange is my bread and butter. I've done it for like almost 10 years now. Covered this franchise. It's 10 years actually. I've covered this franchise because I started in 2014 covering it. I followed it, and I feel so like soulless when I do stuff like this because I basically know that I'm financing the publisher in this horrible position. I've not ordered the game yet. I've ordered the collector's edition because I do kind of want the vinyl. But it's like Adam was like in two minds where he's like, I don't know if I want the vinyl because it's quite expensive. Again, it's putting people's hands in their pockets when it's in such a horrible, weird kind of way as well. It's not fair that should just be in the finger there. Dreamwalker here you put, but I hope 5 in terms of episodes. Regardless, I'm sure something happens at the end of chapter 2 to build up hype before the main release day. Again, yeah, I agree with that. And Alex, look at the leak. I was saying this before. Think about the leak that guy put out there, or woman, whoever it is. Like, I don't know who the actual identity is of the person is. They were saying in there, like, in terms of like, sorry, in the actual leak, they were saying like, the second part of the game isn't that good. So that's like putting red flags in me at the minute. It's like, hang on a minute, you set the first part of the game up really good, and then what the second part doesn't live up to expectations. Big red flag. Big red flag. I'm not very keen on that. Seb, yeah, Michelle's a cool guy. Agreed. He's a very, very nice guy. Always been very nice to me as well. And so is Luke as well. I think there's two of the most really lovely human beings you'll interact with. Strange Owl, am I the only one that thinks there is a disconnect between facial capture and other animations? The walking animations look so stiff. True Colors was like that as well. The walking animation might be stiff, Strange Owl, because I think they're doing it on purpose. So I think Max will walk that way on purpose. It wouldn't surprise me if Webb has done that in the direction where he's making Max walk in like because Max walks in a certain way. If you want a bit of trivia here, because we talked about it on Life After Strange, Serena, who was motion capture actor for Life is Strange 1 for Max, she walked in a circle. And she just kept working in a circle until she got Max's walk right. And the same with Danielle Vivatis, who was Rachel Amber in Life is Strange Before the Storm's motion capture actor. There's a part in the interview where she just basically says, I was getting paid to just basically walk around because I had to get Rachel's walk right. So I think that maybe it's coming across stiff because it's probably adding to her personality. And again, we've only seen so much so far. KJL, I think the game is 2022. Katie said she isn't in the game yesterday on a stream, so Steph isn't in the game. I'll leave you with that, KJL. I'll leave you with that. NDA is a very funny thing. Dreamwalker, Katie Benz, has always been invested in Life is Strange series / community, so I think she'd be down to play a role in Double Exposure if Deck 9 wanted her. I'm 100% going to say that we'll see Steph Gingrich in some capacity. I'm 100% convinced we'll see it in there. I personally think so. Steph Gingrich is the mascot of the Deck 9 games. I personally think that. Thank you to everyone watching, by the way. We've got 28 people in here. So a couple more things. I'm definitely expecting an Alex reference. I wouldn't be surprised if Alex is in the game, mind you, in business. I wouldn't really be surprised. Erica Mori is in Colorado. She's based in Colorado. So it wouldn't surprise me. They could easily get her in to do motion capture for that. Seb, the game is not episodic, but yeah, we don't know how many chapters. Yeah, it's chapter based again. Real Estate Corky. Bernie Sanders will be sitting next to her on the beach next to Safi. Yeah, he's going to be spouting some big Vermont style politics. Bernie, good old Bernie. Seb, please don't not show us Lost Records footage. It's the most anticipated game of the year. I'm very excited for it. And obviously, you have the Lost Records Journal, which we are using to very much follow Lost Records Journal for Lost Records Bloom and Rage. So do stay tuned to that as well. I'm not going to give up on that game just because Life is Strange coming out there. I'm 100% telling you that. So a couple more people. Let's have a look in here. Kerwin, this could be they could be a day after Chloe's death, or Max goes to Seattle with Chloe. I don't know how much Max is going to really appear. Chloe's going to appear in this game. I really don't know. I think too much exposure time to Chloe is going to overvalue a lot of the other things. So, Dreamwalk, I'm going to run for your messages here. When Max hears the emergency broadcast, maybe it's bleeding through the original future. Max, having heard it and rushing to her photos to use photo focus and try and stop it, and she tries both photos we see Max take during our gameplay. I mean if there's any time to finally use a time travel power again, it would be if the world is about to end, and it's a good thing Max did take the photo before the world ended. This is basically what you're saying as well, Alex, as well. It's screaming Final Fantasy, what they've done there with the multiverses. It's just, yeah. I'm trying to like just sit on the fence at the minute and just be like, see where we fold from here. I need more details, if anything. There's so many theories you can make from this game. Strange Owl wouldn't having Steph in this game retcon the ending of True Colors, and why is she traveling all of America? Ha ha ha. But isn't there an option as well for one of the endings in True Colors where Alex leaves Haven Springs with Steph? Or am I going crazy here? Again, like Strange Owl, I don't know what surprised me. You could easily say that she like opens like we could have a Max open up a parallel universe in a record store, and she ends up in Haven Springs. Honestly, again, I just think that there's going to be some reference to Steph Gingrich. They've really tried to like make her a thing in the Deck Nine in anthology. If anything, it's just the way she's positioned the stories in every game. It's just there's more to be said. Paul, I need a Lost Records Collector's Edition to clean myself from feeling dirty buying the Life is Strange Collector's one. I agree with that. I'm very looking forward. I hope to God they do a collector's edition. I'm all over that day one buy. KJ, I think there is a Chloe and Max DLC coming. I can kind of feel it. That's interesting. That would be interesting to see that, because they have done a DLC before. They've missed an opportunity, and this is me pitching Square Enix to make more money, to basically just do like a season pass of like loads of different contents where you could like just jump through time and like go with Chloe and Rachel and whoever else, making the money here. Dreamwalker, have you heard of multiverse fatigue? People are getting tired of too many pieces of media having. Yeah, Alex, we talked about this really early in the stream. I said this as well. It's like you see where Disney and like Marvel's like sales are getting hit and people are just bored of the multiverse. 100% agree with you. But also as well, those mediums are getting bored of it, and now video games are trying it, because I don't really remember huge amounts of video games that have been doing multiverses until they've been getting to franchise stages and series stages. And it wouldn't surprise me with Square Enix, because remember as well, we talked about in Strangecast, Square Enix were in a lot of financial what's the word I'm looking for? Difficulties here and there. And it seems like Life is Strange coming out this year in the fourth quarter of 2024 is very telling of like, maybe we bump up our earnings for this year. And obviously we have the big cash cow to do it as well, because it makes no sense to put, again, you just put it in that Q1 window for me in 2025, but apparently not. Let's have a couple more look, and then I think we'll kind of come towards the end, because I've been on there for an hour and a half, and it's really nice chatting to you all, and thank you for talking as well. If you got anything else and any other thoughts about the trailers, let me know, because we can talk about it whilst I head off. If I've not talked about anything, just let me know. Real estate call key. Yes, they travel. There's even a pic at the end. Yes, see, Alex is doing shows while they travel the country. Yeah, because the other thing as well, this seems like a Deck Nine. A Square Enix commissioned idea, this game, if anything, because you think about the Vicelli comic series, it's about jumping timelines and stuff. It seems like Square Enix has had that direction going for a while, where it's like you're basically jumping through different places and hoops and obstacles. It just feels like that is going to be like, the way of the direction. Strange Owl has put here, but then you're taking only one ending when you go with Steph. Jesus, True Colors is so forgettable at times. It's scary. I'm sorry. No, it is. It's a poor clone of Life is Strange 1. I've heard a lot of things about True Colors. I'm not going to mention the podcast. I've heard them from certain people. It's like they weren't happy with the direction Square Enix took with that. I just know that from that. I just know that they weren't overly thrilled with it. Because you think about it as well, you think about KT's vlog. She even put in there, it said like a Life is Strange 3 logo, and then they changed it to Life is Strange True Colors. Like, God only knows how many things in development changed, but I know that some people just weren't even happy with True Colors. It was completely like a Force Awakens moment for J.J. Abrams with Star Wars. Let's just make New Hope again, but make it worse. And it felt that with like True Colors was like, let's just make a pale imitation of Life is Strange 1. And it's like, it's a little bit soulless at times. So here we go. And Dreamwalker, thanks for the stream. Thank you for joining me as well. Appreciate that. I know some people will keep coming and going, because we've been on here for a while. And as I said, we'll kind of come to a close at the end very soon. And I'll edit this over the next couple of days, and I'll get it on the weekend, so you guys can guys can watch it if you haven't watched it. I think the audio, the quality will be better because it's recorded internally. So let's have a quick look here. What else are we doing here for comments? Seb, oh no, not a DLC with Square Enix doing some cash grab with IP. Who knows? Who knows, Seb? See, like, I'm probably the only person who's going to sit here and talk about the criticalness of Square Enix, because other people will sit there and want free things. And unfortunately, me and Adam have put ourselves in a position where we talk critically, and people don't like that. So, but yeah, that's what Square Enix is going to do. Uh, Kerwin, will there be a Life is Strange 2025? Probably not at this point. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a remake. I've said this before. By the way, guys, just let me, because I've always like kind of like messed around with that and like, messed that idea of like, will there be a Life is Strange remake? Do you think there will be a Life is Strange remake in the future? Not that you want it, by the way, just quickly clarifying it. Not like I hate it. Nah, nah, nah. Do you think there'll be a remake in the future? Because I'm 100% convinced before 2030 we see a remake of some form, that they will remake it from the ground up and just do it because it's a cash grab in that sense. I'm not saying it that I want it, by the way, because the first Life is Strange is as good as it gets, and we don't need to remake games from 2015. They're only 9 years old at the minute. That's Naughty Dog's motif. We got here double A for me. Double Exposure has the same feeling world as True Colors. It feels soulless. Best way I can describe it is Disney Town with actors acting as characters. Arcadia Bay had so much atmosphere. It felt lived in. Think about an Arcadia Bay if like Don't Nod had basically made like a bigger game with like a proper thing. It's just yeah, it could have had more. Mind your own business. I'm True Colors' biggest defender. True Colors was my favorite. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I can see why people resonated with me. I think that True Colors just that it needed more soul. I think it could have been a better game had Deck Nine had its own freedom of that game. I think that from what I can tell, the way that it went, I don't think it's the game that people should have got, which is a bit of a shame. Yellow Flash True Colors is indeed quite forgettable. KLJ, I love your cat being on stream for free without any charge. Yeah, he's here. He's behind me. I'm not going to move the camera because he's sleeping and he's currently 18 years old, on the verge of 19 in December. He's very old at this point, and I'm kind of like just enjoying my last couple of however long it is with him as well, because I don't think he's going to be here much longer because he is currently battling through just general like health things. So fingers crossed he keeps going on, because he always pops up in a Strange Cast episode here and there. Let's have a look here. Strange Owl. Also, and it's also very sad because of the stuff they were trying to copy. Story beats from the first game are cool, like RPG thing. Yeah, they just copied too much. That's what I personally think. Yellow Flash, no remake. I don't think they will. Interesting. Uh, Double A, I fear Double Exposure will have two D&D episodes. It wouldn't surprise me. D&D thing is that their thing, isn't it? It's like that's Deck Nine's thing. I hope they make it something else. That feels a little bit, or unless you mean like a DLC content, that wouldn't surprise me. They might even do like a DLC similar to Wavelengths for this, where it's like Max coming to the town and you kind of get to know how she settled in, etc., and all that other stuff. Real Estate Corky, maybe Life is Strange is kind of all over the place. They just winged it. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. There needs to be more weight behind it. There's just Square. It's just Square Enix handling the IP bad. I know people like to give Deck Nine a lot of hard time, and I give Deck Nine a hard time as well. But it's a lot on the publisher, man. You can see it as well. We've talked about it as well, guys. If you follow the podcast as long as you have Strange Cast, we talked about that interview with Oscar Gilbert, who's the Don't Nod CEO, and he just alluded to it, like in terms of the way that they handle the contracts and stuff. You just know that there's just something not like creatively freedom, like relishing kind of opportunity you have with big publishers. And we've seen with Square being accused of bullying in an IGN article, their London team. It's not a good look, guys. And again, Square Enix has refuted the allegations, just to put that out there as I need to. Seb, I think Life is Strange IP is a curse for Deck Nine. They really should create their own business instead, but they probably don't have enough resources and freedom to do it. You have literally, Seb, just hit a point that I was going to bring on the next Strange Cast episode, because it's actually a topic, and it's basically Don't Nod has turned 16 this month, and a big congratulations to Don't Nod. And Don't Nod put a graphic out with all their games that they put on, and there's big additions in the last couple of years, because obviously this is a company that struggled financially after Remember Me and put itself back on trajectory. They have a catalog building. So if you look at like Don't Nod long term, they want to build a wealth of like IPs, properties, everything, so people basically like they can make their own revenue from it. They have control over the licenses. Deck Nine, how many properties do Deck Nine really have? How many people really know what Deck Nine is like before 2017? How many people know what the studio's thing is? This is a studio that's had multiple layoffs. It's currently been marred by allegations. It has all kinds of issues with it. In itself, and I'll say this as well, and I don't want this to happen, Deck 9 might not even be a thing in 5 or 10 years from now. Because look at Telltale. Telltale basically milked its episodic formula for years, and the exact same game, copy and paste, eventually completely collapsed. Then it came back, and again, it's still struggling to find a space in the realm. At least with Don't Nod, they've got a strategy in place. Look at what Oscar Gilbert's done with that company. Like, look at Banishes. Look at Vampire. Look at Tell Me Why. Tell Me Why. Look at these games that they make. They're making a varying games, but they keep the philosophy the same, which is a narrative-driven game. So it's a lot to be said. And yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a curse for Deck Nine. Deck Nine, and also as well, one more thing, Seb. Think about what Chris Floyd said, the Life is Strange Before the Storm co-director, when he left Deck Nine. There's a big thread of why he left, and he basically explained his version of he didn't see eye to eye with the direction the studio was going, essentially, in a paraphrasing way. Go and read his thread if you want. It's on Twitter. It'll tell you everything that you need to know with where the studio is going at this point. Nancy A, hello, how are you? Didn't the remaster happen already? Yes, but again, we've basically had Last of Us be remastered, ported, remade after 10 years, so anything can happen. Like, trust me, I might remake this live stream. We live in that world, don't we? So let's have a look here. Paul, I'm going to end the stream shortly, guys, so I'm just going to run through these last ones. If you have anything else to ask, just feel free to, and then we can kind of call it a wrap here. So Paul, I think the remake depends on how Double Exposure will do. I agree, but again, I think it's Max. Max will sell, man. That's the thing why I felt so bad for the Don't Know Montreal people and the Lost Records people. It's just a seller, isn't it? It's just so many people get attracted to Max. Max, everyone knows Max now. Max is like really ingrained herself in popular culture at the minute in terms of at least video games. I think they'll remake it. Personally speaking. KJL, I don't think they'll remake. They'll make a remake of Life is Strange 1. Fair enough. Sab, isn't Life is Strange Double Exposure remaster of the first game? Max is using her power to save her dead friend on a campus. Well, when you put it that way. Yeah. KJL, Safi could be the DLC again. Safi would be interesting. Safi would be interesting as the main character. Might happen. Kerwin, they could make a real voice of character with a computer. Yeah, it's a lot of deep ethical issues with that. I'd rather not get into AI and trampling over voice actors. It's a shame that from what we can see so far, that Diane Horton's not coming back with Kate. Kate would have been a good character to have with Max, but again, she might even be on NDA. We don't know. Double A, I know literally nothing Deck Nine's made before Life is Strange. Isn't it that funny? So how many people do you really know from Deck Nine? Like even Don't Nod, Luke, Michelle, they've been there for over a decade. You'll know who they are. It's just it's just so obvious. So I'm going to run through these last ones, then we're going to call it there. So Real Estate Corky the Tornado is a shooter. Spoiler, it could be hitting a lot of people. Kerwin, bye. Take care if you've gone. It's nice to have you here. Double A, can it even be called a remaster? Well, no, because it's in diabolical state. And again, that's the publisher that's putting out there. There's a lot of questions to be asked there. Nancy A, true, but true, they could, but at the point it would be obvious they were struggling. Yeah, but there you go. Yeah, you see the cracks coming in the industry as it is. And Strange Owl, it says a lot that a lot of Life is Strange fans here are more excited for Lost Records. Don't Nod make what they want, and it looks like they're trying to evolve the genre of choice-based game. I agree with you. I think that's the thing you'll see with Lost Records. It's going to be a evolving of the actual narrative storytelling. That's what I think. I don't think you're going to see Michelle and Luke roll out the kind of the ticks and tacks of 2015 Life is Strange. It'll be an evolution of story, because that's why they were ambitious enough to do that with Life is Strange 2. So that's a good thing with them as well. That's why I agree with you. Lost Records would be excited. That's why me and Adam haven't put Lost Records on the shelf thinking because Life is Strange is coming out, we're never going to cover it again. Fully invested in it still. I'll preach it to the high earths. I'll give it as much publicity as I want. It's a good thing for me. So last comment here, Yellow Flash, good stream. Hopefully we get some more info and interviews between now and the release. I'm sure we will, and probably will get a lot of people. I'm surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Hannah Telle put out in front of all these other people to do interviews and whatever else. So guys, thank you for joining me. I'm going to end the stream here. It was really nice to have you all here. Again, appreciate it. If you haven't liked any of the video already, please do. It helps support the channel, helps you keep up to date with the channel, helps you support the channel. Again, I've had people in here who found the channel for the first time. So again, appreciate the people who have liked the video, who support the channel, who have been here for the long haul. Really do appreciate that. Again, stay up to date with this channel by subscribing. You can get all your content here. We have podcasts. We have, these are for the people who somehow find the stream. We have podcasts here. We have interviews here. We have all kinds of content. So do stay tuned in here. It's very regular that we post content. So guys, thank you so much again. And yeah, KJ, thank you for the comment. I hope you have a nice day. I hope you all have a nice day. Take care. Hopefully in the future, I'll have Adam back on at some point. We'll do another live stream when we get more content revealed about Lost Records or Life is Strange Double Exposure. Until then, guys, see you later. Bye.